Smuppy for life. Yeah. Smuppy for life. Stand up when the chief is here. Hands up. Yeah, the chief is here. Stand up when the chief is here. Hands up. Yeah, the chief is here. Yeah. Smuppy for life.
Jordan, welcome. We've been doing a warm-up for the last 10 minutes. I've said welcome already, but welcome to Smuppy. You're on 3 Smuppy channels. Where are you right now? You're in Los Angeles, and there's someone sleeping in your room.
Actually, my girlfriend's in my room. Actually, I'm in the San Diego area here. I'm down by a place called Carlsbad. I rented a house on the water, get a little more space. I live in an apartment in LA, so, you know, got a quarantine style.
And you locked down?
Yeah, I'm locked down. You know, I'm at my wit's end with all. I'm ready. I never was a big believer in the strategy of locking down, but I'm being a good citizen and, you know, following the rules once in my life, barely, you know?
Yeah, but you're not living too badly. I mean, I've got a pool and I've got a wine cellar and, you know, how are you doing?
I got a beautiful pool, waterfall. I'm on the water. I'm on the water with a huge beach. You have a private beach, and I got about 9 rooms here for just my girlfriend and I. We got a jacuzzi, you name it. We got everything. We're doing okay. Can't complain, you know?
Because, you know, in Cape Town 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago when they locked us down, the police went out on the beach and they cleared all the surfers out of the ocean. They said, next time we're arresting you. I mean, you're pretty safe other than great white sharks.
Listen, I actually did a podcast with a friend of mine yesterday. They're doing things like that here as well. I think it's utterly ridiculous. I'm not really sure what the hell is going on here, but you know, the actions the police are taking and the governments are taking defy logic in my mind. It's a fucking flu, you know. So, you know,
how long are you locked down for? What have they said? With 2 weeks or something?
Listen, I think Trump got bullied into this whole thing. He's trying to backpedal his way out of it right now. So my guess is that this cannot go on past May 1st. So my business is doing great. I can't complain. I have a huge online business. My online business is booming. I just was launching a actual recruitment and placement company because all these large companies, you know, need great salesmen. So I'm actually recruiting salesmen out of college for them. That business is doing amazing now because it's just shake up in the industry that every company is basically laying off all the kind of the weakest piece. An excuse for companies to pare down and reorganize, right? So whoever wasn't like really cutting it, they're out. Sorry, it's not my fault. It's the fault of the coronavirus. And then as soon as this is over, they're all going to rebuild the same way. So, you know, I can't go.
Tell everyone what you're doing. Tell everyone what you're doing business-wise. Tell them about your business.
Yeah, so I mean, business. What I do is, I have a couple of parts of my business. But the biggest portion of my business actually has to do with actually helping companies recruit, and I deliver trained salesmen. So in other words, you have large companies like I deal with very large companies like pharmaceutical or logistics companies, automobile dealerships, where they are constantly hiring lots of salespeople. Right, their biggest pain point is attrition, finding the right salespeople and keeping them on board. So rather than them doing it themselves, like they're not that great at it. They're probably great at what they do, but the sales part, not so great. So they come to me, and I have recruiters at all of the colleges around the United States. I'm actually taking that around the world now. So I'll actually recruit the salespeople, train them, and then actually deliver them onboarded already to the company, and then have them under a coaching product for 2 years. So dramatically reduces attrition, increases sort of the speed at which someone gets onboarded by like 3 months or so. So it's been a huge success. That's really my core business. So training, but also recruiting and then training. 2-step process.
And of course, how long is the course? How long is the course?
The course, so they go through a boot camp for about 5 weeks, and then there's 2 years of coaching that comes after. So after they're already working at the company, they still every other week they get coached by someone to make sure they're producing, overcoming any hurdles they're having. Salespeople are weird. You know, one day they're up, next day they're down. They need constant intervention. Yeah. Well, it's everyone.
Yeah.
I know you are.
And do you coach do you take specific salespeople for a specific company, or do you have everyone together in the boot camp?
No, so the boot camp, for example, I have like a company out of Texas as one example. They got $1 billion logistics company. They hire 300 salespeople every single year, right? So they come to me to find the people to, I have a whole, psychometric testing, behavioral interview. I find them, then I'll put them, the boot camp is online. Everything is online and it's two-way interactive, but it's on, it's distance learning, right? Which is all the rage these days. But I've been doing that for years. That's how my business always worked, right? I do in-person events too, but distance learning is really so much more effective for a lot of reasons. So I will train them I have a very complex platform that people go through with testing and reporting, and it's a really powerful, robust platform. And then once they go through the first 4 weeks, the last week is company specific. So the first 4 weeks is general, then it gets specific with role playing, their scripts, their CRM systems. So then they deliver salespeople that are literally onboarded, understand the corporate procedures, the corporate ethics, the vision, the whole culture, so to speak, and they are closing animals. So for companies, it's like manna from heaven.
And when you do the boot camp, how much of it is you and them?
Well, it's all me. It's by video. In other words, the boot. I spent about 2 years taping, and it's interactive training. In other words, everybody's training is different. I'm asking questions as you go through the training, and based on your response, the training will shift into a route. So, like, if you don't understand a topic, I dig deeper. So for a couple of years, I literally spent millions of dollars imagining every possible decision tree all the way down. So I'm able to leverage off of this online learning platform. Then every week I'll do a live coaching session where they can answer me. Then it's me actually live where I answer questions, do role playing. So, but all week long it's on video, and then it's once a week with me live. And they have proctors, students, and I have additional faculty besides myself.
So you could actually train 1 million people at the same time.
Absolutely, I have. I've trained millions of people throughout the world in the last 10 years. So that's the beauty of leveraging through online training. When you're teaching in a classroom, the most I could have is a few thousand tops. I mean, here there's really no limit. And also, it's just with the internet, people can fast forward, they can repeat them, they can watch it again and again. I think distance learning is more effective at the end of the day. I really do.
So you could. I mean, there's 6 million people unemployed in America now.
This is a huge thing. Yeah. So for me, obviously, there's two sides to my business. One is I have to find people who want to go into sales, right? And that was a little bit more difficult before this happened, because in the United States, in a very tight labor market, there really was no, there's no unemployment, virtually, very little unemployment here. Now, the beauty is because we're recruiting out of college, I'm like a household name to every college kid in the world. They love me. They've seen the movie. They sing the song. So my ability to recruit the top salespeople is far better than any other company, because they will rather come to me first for guidance. So I'll place them at the right company based on their wants, desires, the geography. And I think what's the best fit? Put them in a high-paying job right out of college. So I have a huge edge because of the brand. Now, in today's world, well, guess what? Now we have the loosest labor market since the Depression, and it's still increasing every week. So, for me, the paradigm shift is a massive opportunity now for me to really help not just people that are coming out of college, but also people that have lost jobs that want to repurpose in the workforce. It's a huge issue too.
Can't you get the government to pay you to train 100,000 of those 6 million unemployed?
Yeah, the government. It's funny. Someone was saying it yesterday to me. You should be actually going for government funding for this. But my experience with government funding is they're really good at giving you money, and they resent you after they give you the money and want to take it back somehow. So I prefer dealing with the private sector in the United States. I went to Australia. They had programs in Australia designed to train everyone, and then they give you the money, and then they close it down. Oh, we gave the taxpayer. What the fuck? That was what the money was for, So.
Yeah, but you've been a guest of the government for a little while, way back, yeah.
Yeah. They've actually listen. I've trained the FBI. I've given speeches both the FBI in the United States and in actually U.S. Attorney's Office in the United States. FBI in Australia. They're FBI. So I've done a lot of work with the government. But like to me, government contract, government money, it's great when you have it, but you can't rely on it. I prefer to rely on private industry. And I've done really well with that. I know some people that do government contracts. It's never been my thing. But if you have any good government contracts, I'm open, Rob.
Yeah, well, I had the president of Rwanda on a webinar 3 hours ago. So there's one great country you can do.
There we go.
But Jordan,
Rwanda.
yeah. So you spent a little bit of time in jail, yeah. And how soon afterwards did you get into sales? How did that happen? How did that migration happen?
Well,
was it the next day?
Sales is what got me into jail, in the sense that I used my ability to train salespeople to build the largest investment bank in the United States when I was in my early 20s. I had a massive company with thousands of people working for me. And the mistake I made, the problems were not in the sales side. They was in the stock trading and manipulation. So I got involved with, insider trading and, smuggling some money to Switzerland, right? But the sales part was my secret weapon, and that part was great. There's nothing wrong with that. So after I went to jail and got out, it was and I wrote the book. People would read the book and say, wow, what was that? You talk a little bit about sales, and I started getting inquiries about that. Meanwhile, all the kids that I had trained back in the day were all just still doing amazing. So sort of it was a very much of a well-known story in New York in the financial circles. And then ultimately, as I just started going out there and teaching people, my system of selling, it just kept feeding on itself and became a global thing. Then the movie came out, and the rest, as they say, is history.
And you've been to South Africa, haven't you? You've done training courses here.
I was supposed to come to South Africa right
My
before.
birthday.
I know, right before this whole thing started, I had this guy who had organized an event. I'd spoken to you. I'd introduced you to the guy. I was supposed to come to South Africa.
Yeah.
Then, of course, everything fell apart. The problem, I love South Africa. And the problem I've been having getting down to the last years is the Rand collapsed. When I first went to South Africa, it was 7-1. It was 7 Rand to the dollar. So I think it became it became more like I had HSBC had brought me down there twice. I gone down with Virgin, I think Virgin South Africa, whatever it is, Virgin had taken me down. I'd done speeches at Engen. I'd done speeches at Discovery Health. I'd done speeches all these places in Harvard. Then it became cost prohibitive for them to bring me back because it's 3 times the price now for the same outcome. So it was really unfortunate. I was coming to South Africa a lot. I loved it. I went to the Indaba conference once and rented a great house, like in Kirk Lazarus's house in Clifton Beach.
Just down the road.
You know that house?
Yes, down the road.
Yeah. So I rented that house. I have a good friend, my friend Inez, who's from Top Building, is down there in Cape Town. I love that guy. Inez, great guy.
We got to come back. You got to come back.
I can't wait. I'm waiting. I was supposed to come back, It's great.
So Jordan, do you remember when we first met? Hissom organized a dinner in London. Katie was next to you.
With your beautiful wife.
Yeah, she's hiding upstairs. Gorgeous. I mean, she's gorgeous. But you told me that there was a passage in the book that your editor would not let you put into the book because he said no one's going to believe that is possible. Now, you showed that to me. I read it. Okay. You want to tell everyone?
Well, I mean, I had written about, I think, 15 to 20 chapters up to that point, and my editor was a female, and I was putting some wild shit in that book, really over the top stuff, and I was like, I wonder what she's gonna think of it. And every time I'd say there's some depraved chapter about my insanity with sex and drugs and all this stuff, and she'd be like, oh my God, like a little note, this is exclamation point, this is great, this is wonderful. I was like, wow, she's really liberal, and no matter how far I pushed it, she's just like, oh my God, this is so great. You're so bad. People are going to love this, right? And then I got to this one chapter about my bachelor party, and I write out in painstaking detail that, the insanity of this party I threw in Las Vegas. And I put it out like really graphic. And I sent her the chapter, and about 2 days later, I get back a response saying, I just don't think other human beings will understand, like, I said, well, I know a few, Bill. would be, but I guess most people, it was pretty depraved. So, it was really a party that I think people are still missing 20 years later. I don't think people are fully all resurfaced yet. It was a weekend soiree in Las Vegas that just went off the rails.
And I've read the chapter, and it's pretty bad. But, at that dinner when we met, Katie was sitting next to you. We sat down, and as we sat down, you said, you said, guys, you know who I am. You know what I've been through. You can ask me any question you want. And the first thing Katie said to you, she turned to you and said, when you were in jail, did you do anal? And you went, giving or taking? Both are pretty good. Just wander up. It was so good. I wonder whether that was true or not.
I'm not fortunate. Like I wasn't in that sort of jail. I wasn't worried about getting butt fucked by Bubba at night. That wasn't like my worry. I was in a white collar, but still, jail sucks. My bunkmate was actually Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong. Yeah, and that was really how I.
How old is he?
Yeah.
How good is that? The other thing you said, we asked you about that amazing scene in the movie when Leonardo was at the country club and the lewds kicked in. And you said something interesting about taking a lie detector test. Do you want to mention that? Do you remember that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So what I was saying is that night when the way they played it in the movie, it was a really well done scene. I thought Leo's acting was amazing, and the way that Scorsese portrayed it was that like I came home and I thought I made it home without having an accident. And that's the truth. Like to this very day, I could pass a lie detector test because if you said, did you have an accident? I'm like, no, I don't remember hitting any cars. I thought I made it home. I got behind the wheel, did that whole thing. I pray to Jesus, please, if you get me home one more time, I'll never do drugs again, right? And I did that prayer, and when I got home, I was like, thank you, God, thank you. And I left the car, and when they actually came to my house and arrested me about 30 minutes later, and I saw the car, I was like, who stole my car? I couldn't even believe what had happened. I did not remember. It was really odd. So yeah, so I would say to this day, I could pass a lie detector test. I did not have an accident, although I know I did.
Now we're getting some questions in on the right. If you look to the right of your screen at the bottom, there's a chat box.
Hold on.
Can you see it? And then Paulo de Cama says that the movie was great, produced by cronies, the $1 Billion Whale. Tell us about that.
Ironically, so it turns out that the movie had gone into turnaround, as it's called in Hollywood. So Warner Brothers had optioned the movie twice from me. Then I got the project back, and Megan Ellison, Larry Ellison's daughter, had made an offer, and I accepted that offer. But Leo has decided the last thing, goes, please don't go with her. I don't want to go. I have these other people that'll be much better. And he goes, they're from Malaysia, blah, blah, blah. And Leo didn't know they were, stealing the money, obviously. There was no way anyone could have known. Many years later, I suspected it. It's funny. I never thought they stole the money. I thought they were just milking the company. Like, I didn't think the money itself was stolen. So because I'll tell you a funny story. So when they these Malaysians, it was Jolo and crew, right? When they bought the rights from me, they paid me cash up front for everything rather than an option. Then they flew me out to this Cannes Film Festival before we even shot the movie to announce the movie, and they threw a $7 to $10 million party just to announce the movie. It's crazy. And I looked at my wife and I said, this is not going to end well. Like one day this will all be gone. Now, I didn't think they had stolen the money. I thought they just raised the money and just wild spent. You know what I mean? It didn't ever occur the money itself was stolen. I thought they were just milking the company and they were like criminals of that regard. Not like when I found they actually stole the money itself, I was shocked. But I just figured they were wild spenders, taking sovereign wealth money. It's like, yeah, give us money for Hollywood and we'll just throw wild parties. I didn't think they stole the money. That was a revelation for sure.
And look down at the right. There's a Philippe Kjellgren, who's Swedish, was thrown off Smutby 3 times in his first month. And,
right.
And twice he didn't know he'd been thrown off. Once was by me. Right. And he says, your biggest regret.
Why was he thrown off, though? What does it take to get thrown off of Smutby?
Philippe, why were you thrown off Smutby? He won't even know. I think he posted a naked woman on a kid's channel or something. I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, so all right. So even Smutby draws the line there, right? So you throw off Smutby. That's wow. That's like that's got to require some serious depravity and irregular actions, right? You know. Anyway, question: the biggest regret. My biggest regret, believe it or not, was how many drugs I did. I did too many drugs because, drugs are, I'm nothing against drugs. And I'm not even saying I wouldn't party from time to time now. But if you go over the top with it, the memories are all dulled. I always say I fell asleep in the finest restaurants in the world again and again and again. So that's not fun. You know what I'm saying? So I think I would have just done drugs more in moderation. That's my biggest regret. And also the fact that, some investors lost money, but this is Wall Street, and it wasn't like I did anything different than anybody else did like that. So I'd say my biggest regret was really when you do drugs, it can enhance or take away. In my case, it started off enhancing my having fun, it was great, and it reversed on me and became a disaster. So that's probably the big regret.
So I've been passed this message, came under the table from my gorgeous wife, and it says, please introduce Hakeem and Brian. So are Hakeem and Brian coming on?
Hakeem and Brian.
Two Smutbies are going to come on and say hi to you. How do we do this?
All right.
Here we go. Here's Hakeem.
Let's see.
You can see his teeth.
There you go. You see me. There you go.
I see
Hey, Jordan. Hey. Fantastic.
How are you, buddy?
I mean, yeah, all good, man. I love I'm an actor, so I'm gonna do. But I'm just interested in how close were they in terms of you and the movie, and did Leo come and do a lot of research? Did you have a lot of chats with him? And I mean, how was that process? And then how was the movie in terms of your life? How was it reflected? Was it very accurate? Did you feel it was very accurate? And do you feel that it was done justice to? You didn't come away feeling shit? I wish they'd done this or that.
Yeah. So basically, we have Hakeem and Brian on this line here. So the movie, listen, I think the movie certainly did me justice in terms of being played by Leo DiCaprio, right? I guess it's better than getting played by Danny DeVito, right? I love Danny DeVito. It is Leo, right? So that was awesome. And they did an incredible job acting. We spent a lot of time together, about a year, spending a lot of time, each week, a few days a week. Really, he was painstakingly committed to detail. In terms of what's not true, I mean, the things that are that you wouldn't think are true, and some of the stuff that seemed like it happened didn't happen. Like some of like on the financial side of the equation, like business, like they made it seem like we were trying to lose people money in the stock market, or that was nothing could be further from the truth. Now I'm sure there's a lot of sophisticated financial people on this call. Let me ask all you a question. Why on earth would you try to lose someone money in the stock market? It's I made the most money I ever made in any deal was Steve Madden's shoes. Why? Because the stock worked. So it's you never want to lose people, but you make a lot more when you make people money. So the whole notion of shitty companies and that's completely false. I understand why they did it. They did it because it's an easy way of explaining there was a crime committed. But the crime was actually esoteric. It was more about a defined moment of stock manipulation. And other than that, we were doing everything exactly. And by the way, the big firms all do it too. So that, I think the biggest lack of truth was in that, was in making it seem like we were just out there being wild, trying to, lose the money. It's just stupid. The other part of it was the rapidity of the descent into drug use, and so I go down to day one, and I'm a really good boy. I'm idealistic. Can't we make our clients money too? And then the next scene, I'm snorting coke off of a stripper's ass, right? So that de-evolution took a few years. It wasn't they made it one day say it was wild. So that didn't happen. That took, I mean, I was even wilder than that, trust me, but that took like 3 to 4 years to go from where I was a loyal young husband to a wild man. So those are the things that were enacted.
Okay, so what was the time span then? What was the time span of, sorry, just one more question. What was the time span of that whole, your period from sort of the beginning to your sort of downfall?
Mm-hmm. So, well, not the down, I mean, I would say that I went down to Wall Street in 86, 87, right? And I would say up until like 1990, I was pretty normal. 80, yeah, I was 90. Yeah, but like it started 89. It all started when I invented this way of training salesmen called the straight line system. And that was really the journey. Once I invented that system of how do you take average people and make them into world-class salesmen, once that started, kids started to pour into my company, and we just started growing like wildfire. And that's when the herd mentality took over. So, you know, it went from being sort of a normal brokerage firm with 15, 20, 30 people to thousands like within a year. That's how fast it grew.
Wow.
It was crazy. And kids were pouring from all over the country. Most kids had either dropped out of college or just barely clawed their way out of high school. They weren't like no members of the local sperm club, so to speak. It's mostly poor kids that all of a sudden became rich because of the sales training, and it went absolutely wild because of that. That was the story.
Oh, brilliant.
Brian?
Hey, listen, you know, first off, I have a very similar Coke story, except mine was a Coca-Cola with Rob on top of the Silo Hotel in Cape Town. I remember the first night we met. Hey, you know, here's a question, JB. I've been a student of straight line, Stratton model, all that for many, many years. I teach, I do seminars on sales optimization globally. And here's what I find most interesting. The straight line, what makes it so clear and concise, not just for sales, but I believe also if people adopted this in their personal life, it would change everything, right? And the reason is because you have to create certainty and uncertainty. And what I find interesting right now, people are panicking. They're running away from the fear that's going on right now because of the uncertainty, whether it's real or not real in terms of going to happen. But fear's the story. And if I look back, 1999, you knew the world that you knew was changing forever, right? Personally, professionally, at the moment, you were probably thinking, oh crap, this is all gone, right? That would turn most people, even on this call right now, into the fetal position. But you push through somehow, right? And that comes down to mindset, not attitude, not hope. What is the one piece of advice you can give people where perspective, this is nothing. This is a flip in the radar. You have zero fear around this. But
Great
a lot
question.
of people did. What would you do right now in terms of giving advice to walk them through that mental mindset?
So I think that a lot of people miss it. It's a really good question, Brian. It's one of the best questions I've heard. Is that I hear some noise in the background there. Like a baby's kid's noise?
That might be Hakeem, yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so I think that, you know, the thing that most people miss is how much the inner mindset of success relates to the outer world strategies that you possess. In other words, so your mindset is everything that happens up here between your ears before you ever go out into the world and take action. Things like your emotional state of...
That's me. Sorry, I was just giving you a call.
Okay, so did that disconnect me or no?
No, you're here.
Okay, good. So the mindset of success is like your ability to manage your emotional state of mind, your belief systems, your self-belief, your personal standards, financial and otherwise, and also your vision for the future and how you focus on. That's like your mindset for success, right? And when we think about, like, you know, overcoming adversity and staying strong and coming back from failure, you know, most people will point to the mindset, having that positive mindset, as you just did. The issue with that, though, and while all of that is true, I think what people miss sometimes is that your mindset will be a direct relationship between what you actually possess in terms of skill sets in the real world. Like in my mind, I knew that I was a great closer. I was a world-class salesman and I could train sales. I knew that I understood how to start a business and grow a business. I knew I was an expert at marketing. I knew how to manage money and make my money and make more money. So I knew in my heart of hearts, I knew I possessed the actual real world skill sets that are required to achieve massive success. So because I knew that, I understood that I really did possess the real world skills. It gave me the inner strength and hope and knowledge and belief, by the way, because it goes back to belief, that it doesn't matter if you take away all my money, I'm going to make it back because I actually do possess the required skills to earn tons of money. So what happens with many people if they lack, and if their own mind, they don't believe in themselves because they really don't. Let's say they know they're not that great at selling, they're not great at marketing, or they don't know how to run a business. When they take a fall, like shit, I can't see myself. If I want to get honest right now, I don't really possess all the skills that one would need to make a massive comeback. I knew I did. So that's why I always say, if you want to ensure your success in life, you want to ensure your comeback, it just can't be about being strong in your mindset. Yes, you need to have a mindset that sets you up for success, but you also need to have the real world skills and strategies that make it not bullshit. It can't just be bullshit where I'm going to think my way to success. I'm going to think, I'm going to stay positive. You're not going to stay positive very long if when you go out to the real world and try to do something, you don't know how to do it and you fail. So what happens is you need to possess the outer world strategies as well as the internal mindset. So for me, I knew there was no doubt in my mind. Yes, I made mistakes. Yes, I screwed up. Yes, I lost my money. I got to start again. But I know I have what it takes in terms of all the skills required. So I might as well just work my ass off because I love that life. And I know that I'll get it back because I possess the skills. If I thought I lacked the skills, I would say, well, what's the point of doing all the work? Because I'm not going to get what I want anyway, because I don't really know how to close or market or run a business. So what I do with people is the reason I've had so much success is helping people make money is that I don't just teach you mindset. I don't just teach skill sets. I always focus on both. So you need to get your mindset straight and learn the required skills for whatever it is you want to achieve in life. And every profession, every outcome has its own set of skills that are required. That make sense?
Yeah. Not only that, may I add one other thing to you? You're an avid tennis player, right? You like tennis, and it's almost like what you're saying is if I were to, I'm a no tennis player, but if I went and began to work with, what's her name, Venus Williams, and I played tennis with her every day for 6 months. At the end of the day, I still probably wouldn't be able to return a serve with her. However, if I go play against just an average person, I'm going to crush them.
Exactly.
And I think what you're saying is that you got to also up the game with the people you associate with, model and mentor from those people for best practices.
Yeah, of course. So
what are you doing on Smutby?
Smutby, I associate with the best. I like the most of degeneracy, the most of ethics, the most of everything, the most of sales.
You're in the right place.
Smutby's a most of group, so it's perfect for me.
But the thing is, for anybody that's not familiar with the straight line system, I can just tell you that the biggest thing that it teaches is you got to take people through this continuum, this linear approach of emotional certainty, logical certainty, and probably I think the big takeaway is the people that stay focused the longest are the ones that win, no matter what you do. And you don't have to be the smartest kid to be able to be number one. Exactly. And it's not about being top. You don't have to be top 1%.
Ryan, I'm going to give everybody on this call right now I'm giving everybody a free training action. I'm going to give them access to the actual introduction and the first module of the system, the first lesson. So anyone that wants to just learn, it's free, no obligation. You don't have to enter a credit card. It's just my gift to you. Just go to jordanbelfort.com/smutby. I set it up. So it's jordanbelfort.com/smutby. You can get the intro to my advanced corporate system, the first lesson, and you'll be really blown away, as Brian will tell you. It's great. And it's free, by the way, my gift to everyone here.
Thank you very much. Jordan, a couple of questions on the little thing down here is a lot of people asked about your view on Bitcoin and crypto. Like there are 4 or 5 of them. Do you want to give a shot at that?
Sure. So my biggest problem with Bitcoin was when it was at 20,000, I knew it was right. I absolutely was sure that it was ripe for a fall. And I came out really, really heavily against it when it was 20,000, 18,000, 7, all the way down to when it hit, I think bombed out. I was always a big bear. All right. So let me, there's reasons for that. And the biggest reason is not because I don't believe in blockchain technology. Actually, I'm a fan of blockchain technology. And I also think that there's going to be one day a digital currency based on it that's going to be very much, a global standard. I just don't think it's going to be Bitcoin. So I wasn't so much against digital currency as much as Bitcoin. I believe Bitcoin has fundamental problems, intrinsic, there's parts of it to me that make it not very useful and scalable as an actual currency. And what I saw back in the day 3 years ago was that it was not being used as a currency. It was purely being used as a speculative vehicle. And that's all that was going on. That wasn't being used for transactions and things like that. Like, so when they were talking about like that the more, like, I think the brothers, the Winklevoss twins, they were promoting it so heavily. Right. They were saying that, you have to value Bitcoin by the more people that are buying it, the more valuable it becomes. Like it's the networking effect. So the more people that are that trade or that have bought a Bitcoin, the more valuable. And that's not true. That's actually the opposite of what's true, because Bitcoin back then was really a pyramid scheme of people crossing out those that came in before, and that's why the value is going up. The network effect would be how many merchants are accepting Bitcoin and using it to actually do transactions. So the adoption of Bitcoin, my point was that the adoption they were talking about wasn't at the actual store at the level of buying things. It was more about people just using it for speculation. And that was a big negative. The more people that are speculating with Bitcoin, the harder it is to get more people again to come in behind them and bring the value up. So I was a huge bear on Bitcoin, also because of the energy issues, how much energy it was requiring. And to me, it was, ripe for a huge fall. So now 3 years later, it fell down. It went down to, I think, as low as 2,000 or 3,000. It bounced back up. My opinion is basically the future is this. I don't believe governments around the world will allow this to ever become anything more than it is, because they're so against money laundering. They spent years shutting down Switzerland and all these other. Oh, now I'm just going to turn over to a completely blind situation. So that's never going to happen in my mind. However, I'm not saying you can't make money trading it along the way. So people do really well buying and selling it, and they make money. And so there's ways to make money. I believe ultimately that when a digital currency comes into play, it will not be Bitcoin. It'll be something that's actually issued by the government. And also, I don't think it's as transparent as you think. People have it stolen all the time. You can still track it. So that's why I'm a bear.
What's the new thing? And Brian, I'm going to ask you this as well. The new thing that you're seeing. Is this something that, we in London and South Africa and Sweden and Norway should know about? We're hearing things from Asia, developments. Is there anything coming out of California or the?
Well, I mean, I'm a big believer in is that in every, crisis like this, in every, Armageddon-like event, there's huge opportunities. There's always going to be huge amounts of money made on the back of something like this. There's always repositionings, people solving new pain points that pop up. So I believe that there are going to be things that emerge from this moment here, and you'll see some just massive fortunes made in other people that didn't adapt to the new normal, so to speak, and you'll see fortunes lost. I think there's a big. I'm very interested to see how things shake out with China. What really happens? Where does this really go with China? Our countries are so independent on each other. So there's a lot of blustering going on right now. But I think that the future is going to be a digital currency, by the way. But I'm just not sure where it's coming from. Brian, what do you think?
Thanks, JB. I think you're spot on. I'll give you an example. My opinion, Rob, is the two organizations that are going to survive and come through this are going to be ones that hoarded cash, and B, those that are going to pivot their market position. And there are a lot of opportunities. I'll give you an example. I was talking to one of my clients who's the CEO of Pure Romance, which is a home-based party plan business for network marketing for women. And you think, gosh, it's a home-based business, and with this Corona lockdown, they're going to go out of business. Their CEO, and they're a $300 million company based in the U.S., although offices in South Africa as well. He said in February, we're gonna pivot our entire business model and go to social selling. Guess what? Double-digit year-over-year increase now because they were able to shift their whole model. And these are the opportunities that are there if you can get away from the panic and really start focusing on how we can manipulate our own situation as something positive.
Jordan, who threw crazier parties, you or J-Lo?
I think, you know, J-Lo probably spent a lot more money than I did, but I was infinitely hotter women than him. I mean, and more of them. I mean, J-Lo would like be paid. I think he paid, what's her name, Miranda Kerr. Like he bought her a house just so he could like even like breathe the same air as her. She never slept with him or anything. I don't think, you know, most of these women were not like going near him. I'm sure there was some hookers that were, but you know, this guy was like, I mean, you know, if you see the guy, he's like a teddy bear. I mean, like the guy's like literally, I could stuff a basketball on the guy. He made me feel fucking like Will Chamberlain. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, he's, you know, I think he was like sort of a sorry. I look at him as a sorry. I saw him. I thought he was a mockery. I really did. Like to do the things he did, the way, and that's how much he spent, but it was like almost a joke when you looked at the guy. It was so obvious that like without money, no one would ever look at this guy. You know what I mean? So to me, that was like, it's not like you going in and being gregarious and spending tons of money, Rob. It's not like I did it when I came in. I was like kind of a normal guy. He's like a strange cat, the guy, you know? So
did you ever stroke the furry wall?
Which furry wall is that?
What was that movie? Anyway, I've forgotten. Get him to the Greek. Did you see that movie?
Wow, no, I haven't stroked the furry wall. No.
Brian, you got another question?
Who, myself?
Brian?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I'll say one more thing about, you know, I don't know how many people are on this call or what the average situation of the person is. Yeah, one thing I could tell you is that I know that all the really successful people will agree with me on this, is that right now is the best time to go out there and start a business, to grow your business. If you're smart right now and you don't get paralyzed by fear and uncertainty, and you really take a good look at things, there is going to be massive growth right now in certain sectors and with certain businesses. It's almost like a rubber band. You take a rubber band and you stretch it. Well, if you stretch to its point of like where it's just about to break, like it was artificially stretching now to the negative right now. Well, that's a lot of stored energy and power. So when that gets unleashed, there's this huge rebound effect on the other side. So you want to be riding that wave. So that I really would, you know, just you have to, any negativity you have right now, you have to power through. You have to use your mindset right now, and also take this time to educate yourself, grow yourself. You know, whatever skills that you think you need to learn and perfect, this is the time to do it. You can still have enough hours a day to have fun and, you know, make this not the worst time for you in the world. It's, you know, I'm having fun under quarantine. I really am. I mean, I wish I can go out as well, but I'm also taking the time to do certain things I never thought I had time for. So I'm educating myself in certain areas and growing myself. I suggest you know, whatever it is that you think you lack, it's been holding you back from getting what you want in life. Now is the time to really spend extra time perfecting those skills. I'm a big believer in skill set. So
Well, I hope my son, Alex and Luke, were listening to that. Alex and Luke, were you listening to that? Jordan, we got a few more questions if you're okay with that.
Sure.
Somebody asked about fine wine investments. Is that a good business to be in? Would you drink that Screaming Eagle? Is that a good thing to do?
Which one? Fine what?
Fine wine.
Yeah, I mean, listen, most of that, you know, a lot of these wine companies are scams. Okay, so there's two wine businesses: legitimate wine trading business, and there's all these scam companies out there that try to, you know, get people to invest in wine as a commodity, and they're mostly highly illegitimate and just robbing people blind. You know, anything else, if you really know the wine business, you can make a lot of money. But I'd sooner more go into art. If you want to really make money, go into the art world. I mean, there's a lot of money in art. I'll tell you that much. So if you're looking for these off commodities, you know, one thing that is just, I think art's probably appreciated more than any other asset in the world in the last 50 years, if you look at it. So, but there is money in anything. If you really know the industry and you're committed to becoming an expert, you can make money at it. But I think art's better than wine.
Hey, JB, I have a question that somebody posed here that's real interesting. What are your views on the effects of the real estate, commercial and residential, as it relates to this pandemic right now?
I'm deeply concerned about the commercial real estate market. I think the commercial real estate market is in for massive, massive pain. I think a lot of companies right now are simply realizing, you know what? I actually can work mostly mobilely out of my home. I think there's been one thing that's going to come out of this time is a shift towards working from home, telecommuting, so to speak. And I have space right now, right in Los Angeles. I'm not going back to my space. It just so happens I need a lot more space. So I'm going to get more space, but I'm the exception to the rule. Most people right now who have space, they're probably noticing that they can do a lot more from a distance than they thought. And I think a lot of people are not paying their rents right now. There's going to be massive collapses in prices and occupancy rates. That's in commercial. And I think you're going to see huge pockets of pain, huge. I mean, I can only speak for the United States, but I'm guessing the rest of the world mirrors it pretty closely in this regard. I think the commercial real estate disaster. Real estate home-wise, I think you're going to find problems in the larger multifamily homes. I think that, like always, what you'll find is that there's a price. There's the ultra wealthy, like the real ultra wealthy. They always are going to have money. The houses in LA that go for 30 million, 50 million. So, whatever equivalent of that is, the ultra wealthy, they're always going to buy their crazy homes. And then you're going to find that upwardly mobile entrepreneurs level of, like, in LA, it's like 1 to 2 million. Those will be okay too. It's that middle level of like 3 to 20 million that I think is going to get really smashed badly, because it's the people who are almost like kind of faking it till they were making it, trading up on homes. I think that you're going to find a period of banks tightening lending restrictions again. And also, I just think you're going to see prices just by sheer demand falling are going to be going down significantly around the world.
One more question. Brian, do you want to pick one up there?
Off the chat here. I think something that I keep seeing coming up over here is, would you invest in the markets? My perspective on this, JB, has been, when I see Warren Buffett run, that's a problem, right? People are saying you need to buy gold bars, and I'm like, if I'm buying my bread with gold, we got bigger problems. For me, I'm not really that concerned. I'm still putting cash in the markets right now because I'm in the long play, right? And just trying to diversify it out.
I agree. So I would think that I don't believe now is a time to be trading the markets in and out. I think that if you were to buy right now and hold for 3 years, you're going to do really, really well. Really well. I think that if you try to trade this game on volatility and try to out-time the markets, you're probably going to lose. Maybe you'll get lucky and win. I think if you look back historically, if you just put your money in the market and hold it, you're going to do better off than pretty much anything else out there. So I think if I had liquid cash, I mean, if I was you guys, right, whatever it was, I'm not going to put my own stuff. I'm investing right now, no doubt. But if I was, just looking to invest, I would say wait for the dips each day, buy into the dips and hold, and just keep averaging down. And I think you'll eventually do really, really well. Whenever you see a big dip, buy. And then don't try to resell and make a profit. Hold it.
Okay, so we're going to go around the group. I'm going to ask everyone, and I'm going to answer this question. If you could own a business now, what would it be? Shall I go first? Mine's going to be sex robots. Brian, yours.
I'm rarely short of words, Rob, but you always throw me. It's not what I was expecting you to say, because I was going to actually go more traditional and go out there and develop more organizations, but that's almost boring now.
Okay, Jordan.
My own business right now, recruiting and training salesmen I think there's going to be a huge shakeup in the whole. I was disrupting the market anyway as I was doing it, but I think that in the next, I think Harvard sent a letter out to people that had graduated, some alumni. If you're looking for people, we have graduates from our business school. Like they're actually, Harvard is worried about placing their graduates right now. So I think that the recruiting and training and placement of salespeople is going to be the best business in the world.
You get to ask each of us a question now.
I do.
You do.
I get to ask them. Okay. So, Rob, what do you, given you know everything about my industry, about what I do, okay, what would you, if you were me, how would you go about growing my business?
I would do a show. I would speak to the whole world. I would set a challenge. I would set a challenge to give $100 million to charity if you can get 1 billion people for an hour to listen to you. And you'll get it because they'll not know what you're going to say. And you will say the most profound, I'll write it for you if you want. You'll say the most extraordinary, profound thing that no one will ever forget. And it'll be out of character and it'll be brilliant and you'll be written into the history books. And I'll sell the sponsorship for 200. We'll split 50-50.
I love it. Brian, how about you?
Which one?
Same question.
Yeah, I'm gonna use my Fifth Amendment on that one.
Okay. So Jordan, thank you so much, buddy. And you're on 3 Smutbies, London, South Africa, and 2.0.
I'll actually tweet out that link to everybody. Again, it's just, the link is only good through tonight. So it's jordanbelfort.com/Smutby and just enter your information. You'll get a link to a free training. It's really on an interactive training platform. It's really, really cool. So, and it's not like you have to enter your credit card and it's free. My gift to everybody.
We love you, Jordan. Thank you very much. Speak soon. Really appreciate it. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.